Hello and welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host, GB. I'm smiling ear to ear. Declan Rice, Arsenal is happening. For the listeners out there, they know my love for Arsenal. I've got to squeeze in it. Got to squeeze it in any chance I can get. So, Rice, baby. Anyway, shut your mouth. It's listening time. Today's guest is the first ever CXW World's Heavyweight Champion, first triple crown in OPW. Please give it up for Jackson Arrow. I don't really do it,
but thank you very, very much, and thank you for the warm welcome. I definitely think Declan Rice will be a good signing for Arsenal. I definitely would have taken him at my beloved Derby County, but
so I was going to mention that because I scrolled through a lot of your Instagram and I see you wearing a Derby County top. So times are hard for you at the moment. I know, obviously, the glory days are quite far behind. I'm gone a little bit, but I was a bit gutted at Rooney. Obviously, when he took over and fought for you guys in the championship, it was just like it was kind of a losing battle. But what he did, has to be commended. Like, I want to hear from you. Like, how long have you been supporting Derby for?
Oh, I've supported Derby all my life. I was born in Derby, so I lived there until I was 3, and my whole family supports Derby. So it's always been the Rams. Never anyone else.
Nice.
So I've always supported Derby. But Rooney did a great job for like the 2 seasons. It just seemed like he left on such a random note because it wasn't like an upgrade to his career. Like if he'd ended up going to Everton and then being the manager of Everton, obviously
it makes sense, wouldn't it? Premiership
he came through with, but leaving and going to DC United just seemed really, really strange after everything that he'd done for Derby.
And obviously, like the lifestyle out there as well, and his family is going to benefit them. And I can understand. I mean, what he did for you guys was awesome, but I think at the same time, it's just money talks, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And in reality, do you want to be in the MLS or do you want to be fighting for promotion in League One without any players at the start of the season? Because that's where we were last year. We had a transfer embargo. We didn't have any players in. But even with that, I feel like
did well. You finished outside the playoffs, didn't you?
Yeah, one spot outside the playoffs with Paul Warne. Paul Warne's been good for Derby, but I still feel like Rossini was a little bit hard done by when we got rid of him, to be honest, because I think we were 8th, but we were playing beautiful football. And Warne's style of football is a little bit different, but it is effective, which I like.
So I'm still here. My camera's on and off at the moment. I do apologise. And it wasn't just because of the Derby talk, because I actually want to continue quickly. Because one, it's the first time I ever spoke about it. 2, I think it's quite hilarious. You may not. It was when you was in the Premier League.
Oh God.
07-08. He was only able to achieve 11 points in the season.
I remember the season before. I was so excited because we had like Steve Howard banging in the goals. Giles Barnes was like an absolute world beater in the championship. He was unreal. And I remember Pearson scored that goal on the breakaway against West Brom, where Barnes like ran the length of the pitch down the right, put it in for Pearson. He just literally like tapped it across into the far corner. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, we're going to be incredible in the Premier League. We signed like Kenny Miller.
Savage. Was he there before? I can't fully remember that.
He signed just for being in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And, so he signed all these different players. And then we had like offers for like 15 or 20 million for Giles Barnes off of like Chelsea and Arsenal and whatever else. And we're like, we're going well here. We're going to keep hold of him. He's going to be incredible. And just seeing that we lost like 6-0 every week was pretty brutal.
It was pretty bad, man. But the fact you're able to laugh about it and be positive, I mean, I can imagine in 07-08, like what 50 years ago,
it wasn't
that smile wouldn't be there, would it?
Fernando Torres score 4 against you, but
mate, I can't really rip into you too much as an Arsenal fan, as I just said earlier. We had some dark times. I mean, not necessarily getting relegated and stuff like that, and embargoes and transfer bans, but where we should have been compared to where we were, like getting spanked by Bayern Munich in the Champions League in two legs. That was just. I know he's getting the statue now. I adore him, one of my favorite managers of all time. But there's a point where I was literally like Wenger out, and I'm honest about it. I mean, it wasn't like AFTV, by the way, but Wenger out, blood. Whatever, blood. But it's good to get the football talk in there. We will talk about wrestling now. How I know and the majority of listeners are tuning in for wrestling. So football talk's over. Don't worry. So when did you become a wrestling fan?
So I actually wasn't allowed to watch wrestling as a kid. So I didn't watch it really at all when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And I reckon when I was about 12, 13, my brother put on an episode of Raw. He's like, watch this and just try and enjoy it, see what you think. Because he started to get quite into wrestling. I was like, all right, I'll give it a watch. I remember watching it, like parents were out and everything. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll watch it. Go on.
Being a little
I remember
rebel.
I literally watched the first episode of Raw that I watched, and I was like, this is crap. It's naff. This is rubbish. I said to my brother, I was like, it's so fake. Like, I used the F-bomb. I was like, it's so fake. I can see that they're not really hitting each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like real fighting and all this. And he said, right, okay, there's another episode of SmackDown that I've got recorded. Watch this one and try and get into the characters and the storylines and stuff like that. And don't take it as like a real fight, but take it as like entertainment. So I started watching it, and then I enjoyed that episode of SmackDown, and I was like, okay, starting to get into this a little bit. And then the next pay-per-view was Money in the Bank, where CM Punk ran off with the WWE title.
2011, phenomenal show in his hometown.
Yeah, and straight after that, I was hooked. I was like, okay, yeah, I want to see what happens next. Like, I need to find out what happens. Does this guy stay? Is this guy going? Like, happening here? So straight after that, I was hooked, and yeah, just been a huge wrestling fan ever since, really.
It's crazy that time period where the wrestling actually wasn't that great, but CM Punk, the stuff that he was doing with the pipe bomb and, running off with the title and then coming back and being a rebel, really did bring back fans, but also introduce new fans. And it's pretty cool. I think that was kind of a fun period where you just didn't know what was going on. I mean, we still had like shit with like Little Jimmy and that sort of shit. But no, that's pretty cool. It's crazy as well. Like, you just consider where you are now. As a wrestler and as a head coach and stuff, to originally hating it, and obviously we won't use the F word properly. No, that's pretty cool, man. So why is it
I couldn't see the realism the first time I watched it, but then as soon as somebody changes your perspective on it and is like, well, actually, like, you're not necessarily watching this the whole time just for realism, like, watch it for what it is and watch it for an entertainment value and enjoy it for the guys going out there.
That sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. The guys going out there to tell you a story and to entertain you. And then straight after that, I was like, right, okay, I'm in. I'm hooked. Let's do it.
I like it. And then what actually inspired you to become a pro wrestler? So was there a match that you watched, or as it just as time went on, you was like, do you know what? I actually want to give this a go. I really want to do it.
Yeah, so I think, like everybody that watches wrestling, you always watch it for a little bit, and then you're like, oh, okay. So, for example, me and my brother were like, right, let's try this move on the trampoline, or let's try this move on the trampoline. And like everybody who watches wrestling will go through that phase, whether they want to either be a wrestler or they're just a wrestling fan or whatever.
Yeah.
So, let's do this move on the settee, or let's do this move in the back garden or whatever. So me and my brother started having like little matches on the trampoline and stuff like that. And there was no psychology, and like wrestling mat now, looking back at it, would be like, this is the absolute shits. But back then it was just so
that might
fun.
work in some promotions. I'm not going to say.
Yeah, right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I was just like, do you know what? I really enjoyed giving the moves a try and stuff like that. And then I was like, okay, I reckon I can start learning more flips and different pieces like that. So I started learning the flips on the trampoline. And then I was kind of like looking around for a wrestling school, and there isn't one. Well, there wasn't one on the Isle of Wight. So I started doing kickboxing for like a couple of months. And then I found that there was a training school in Portsmouth, Rev Pro. I was like, right, I'm going to I think I was maybe 15, 16. I was like, I'm going to go over and train there and learn to become a professional wrestler, because like from doing it on the trampoline and stuff, I was like, yeah, I can pick these things up.
Yeah. This doesn't hurt. Yeah, I can get back up easily.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you do it in a ring, it's completely different. And like the
Do you
way
mean I'm not
doing
bouncing?
is completely different. And it's not as bouncy and everything.
Nice. How did you find the Rev Pro school in Portsmouth? Because I've heard good stuff about it, but I just want to get your take on it.
So I kind of like stumbled across it. I was just looking for like, I think back then there wasn't as, or maybe it was just my knowledge, there wasn't as much sort of indie stuff and it wasn't as far out there. Like everybody obviously knows about independent wrestling now, but back then I wasn't like smart to it. I just knew about WWE and Lucha Underground and that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't really know that there was an indie scene. So I was just like searching really generic stuff like wrestling schools in the UK and stuff like that. And like a couple pops up here and there. So I just ended up sending an email and I was like, where are you guys based? Because I want to do this. And they said, oh, we're based in Portsmouth. I was like, oh, perfect. It's just one boat across. So yeah, just catch the boat across and then I'd catch the train up to training and then go and train and then catch the train back and then the boat back and then a bus back on the island.
Man, you must have been exhausted. To do that journey and then do the training and then go back and then just do it all over.
But there's all the other stuff that goes with wrestling as well. So like when I first started, I'd go over on Wednesdays and on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So when I went over on a Saturday, the training sessions would start at 12 till 3. So I'd go over, I would get there a little bit early, sometimes jump in, like take a couple of bumps for the kids sessions and whatever. And then I would go to do the session and then go out flyering for like an hour or posting for an hour or whatever, just the different things that come with the business. And then I'd catch like the 5 or 6 o'clock boat back and then get a bus back on the island. Obviously when it was like Wednesdays, it was always in the evening. So I think it was 7 till 9. So I'd get like a boat across, get the train across, get there for 7, do the session till 9, catch the train and the boat back, and then there wouldn't be any buses. And sort of at that phase where I was training twice a week, my mum was like, oh, I'm not gonna support you with this necessarily. She's very supportive now.
Yeah.
But at the time she was like, I'm not going to support you with this.
You just don't know, do you? Especially at the age that you are as well. It just might have just been, oh, whatever, he'll grow out of this.
Yeah, exactly. I was like 16, 17 years old at this point. So she's like, oh, he'll grow out of it. He's just going through a phase of being into wrestling. So I remember I'd get back at about 10 o'clock from the boat. And then I'd walk back to my house on the island, which is about a 4 or 5 mile walk. So yeah,
this is your way of paying dues. Like someone that didn't necessarily at the beginning. This surprised me, by the way. Just I will go into like the match I've seen you have, because of how you wrestle. It does look like you grew up like as a lifelong fan, especially with Storm and like just how well like you wrestle in quite similar styles. And that I didn't expect that, to be honest, that answer, but it's pretty interesting. Though. Just that's kind of how I viewed it as, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's one of those things that as soon as I was into it, I wanted to break it down and I wanted to understand straight away. So like, and I'll be honest, when I first was training, I was rubbish at like technical stuff and stuff like that. But I was doing like landing standing moonsaults on people on my second session. So like I naturally had the athleticism to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Do like these cool things that I'd practiced on the trampoline for.
But just the psychology wasn't there.
But yeah, I had no knowledge of how to put together a match or where stuff goes or even like technical stuff, where you should put your hands, how you should bump, everything like that. So obviously like that early training really grounded me on all of those sorts of things. Like, okay, this is what you do in tech and this is how you should have your footwork and this is how you hit the ropes and this is how you take your bumps and this is where you feed and everything like that. So yeah, I'd say that's really important to any wrestler.
Yeah, I can imagine you passed that on as well to your students as you are a trainer now. But I will touch on that very shortly. But I want to go into your in-ring debut, the first ever professional match that you ever had. I asked this, I think a lot of British wrestlers, there is a funny story in this. It might not be, but I like to know anyway. So I want to know, what was your first match? How
Okay.
do you think it went? And tell me about going into it. How nervous were you, if you were at all?
So my debut was for South Coast Wrestling, which was based down in like New Milton, Bournemouth area.
Yeah.
It then went on to become Strike Wrestling. And then, it's not a thing anymore, but it was there for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
So that was where I made my debut. And it was because a few of the guys from Rev Pro were going down there to wrestle as well. So one of the lads, Curtis Chapman, Mad Kurt, put in a good word
Funny
for me.
fucker, isn't he?
Yeah, he's incredible. He's so talented as well, like just unbelievable. But he put in a good word for me down at South Coast and said, "Oh, you should really use this guy. Like he's come along leaps and bounds since training and stuff like that. He's not really being used at the moment, so why don't you give him a go?" So they did, and it was my debut. I went down there, and they put me in there with the anarchist James Castle, who had actually really helped me training at Rev Pro.
Yeah, I remember with the Spike Hawk. Yeah,
absolutely. Him and Gideon Gray kind of took me under their wing.
Has he returned, by the way? I know, wasn't he ill?
Yeah. I think he's had quite a serious illness, and I haven't really heard back from him in a little while.
Yeah,
I did drop him a message as soon as I read that, but I hadn't like been in contact with him for a few years, so I wasn't expecting.
No, I get that. That's cool of you to do that, though.
Yeah, well, I want people to be okay, ultimately,
and
hopefully he is recovering well. But like I say, I haven't heard anything, and I don't want to like push for answers or ask around.
God, no. No. It's just whenever you're ready, that sort of situation. It's just I'm here basically if you want to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was taking him on in a singles match, and then they, I think it was about half an hour before doors, the promoter came up to me and he said, "Oh, I don't know if you're aware of this, but James has been doing this gimmick here where he's been all of his matches have been open challenge tables matches." And I was like, right. And they were like, "Yeah, so only if you're cool with it, like there's no pressure, but we'd quite like to do an open challenge tables match with you and James."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, right, yeah, sure, okay, whatever."
First of match. Yeah.
As soon as I said, "Yeah, sure, whatever," they were like, "James is going over." And I was like, "Oh, right."
Oh, yeah, okay.
Wonderful. I guess
get that one in, didn't you?
On my debut. So it actually went really well, surprisingly. Like, I don't like watching my stuff back because I'm my own harshest critic, which is probably why I quite like coaching, because I can analyze it for the guys and I can say something like, I didn't like this, or I liked this part, but you could have probably worked on that part. But I'm super strict when it comes to myself. Like, I try and hold myself to the highest standard. So if I watch my own matches back, I'm always like, I hated that. They didn't react for that.
I completely understand that, especially in this business.
So I really beat myself up whenever I watch my own matches. So I probably haven't watched it back in full.
Yeah.
But what I do remember is James saying, right, whenever. So he said to me backstage, we're going to go outside and do a chop spot outside. And whoever's making the most amount of noise, that's who I'm going to sit you on, and I'll chop you on them. So he ended up chopping me on my dad, on my best friend, and sat me down right in the front row and gave me a snap suplex on the floor in front of my grandma. And my grandma has lovingly now got her own gimmick within the family, which is she's the grappling granny. She got up with the handbag and she was smacking him with her handbag and everything like that. And she's done that a good few times since she's come and watched me as well. So
that's class.
If she's ever there, he always smacks people with her handbag.
Granny Arrow, I love it. Oh no, grappling Granny. Sorry.
She's amazing. Grappling Granny. She's got her own gimmick. She's great.
She's got her own merch, by the way. If you want to plug that now.
Oh, she should. She should get her own merch. We should sort that out. That'd be amazing. Get it on Pro Wrestling Tees. There you go. But yeah, so the finish to the match was I had James on the ropes, going to give him as if I was going to give him a Frankensteiner off the top through the through the table. He cut me off with a low blow, and then gives me a Michinoku driver off the top rope through the table. And that
was the landing. How was it?
Yeah, it was all right, actually. It was okay. The only thing was, this happens quite a lot in British wrestling, it was a pasting table.
Yeah.
So obviously they have like the metal bit across to solidify it in place when you're actually pasting. So that was like locked in. And I remember catching my back on one of the hinges across the edges. And that sucked a little bit. But there was so much adrenaline that at the time I didn't feel it. And because it was my debut, like I was staying down there with family and stuff like that. So we got a hotel room and everything like that. I remember I was going to bed and I went to go and jump in the shower. And straight away, it just felt like my back was on fire. And I was like,
hit you.
Well, this is really strange. This is a really strange sensation. I looked at my back and I just had a cut going all the way from like my shoulder all the way down. But it's just like this little scratch cut that went all the way down my back. I was like, okay, I gotta make sure I'm a little bit more sensible with bumps like this, because if I'm wrestling more regularly, that's not going to be
It's not
fun.
something you're going to do every night, though, to be fair. But for that
well, I've been through a fair few tables, but yeah.
Even was it last year with you RKJ?
Yeah, that was
that was literally eye in the table moment, like, you know, Botchmania.
Yeah, that
did not look fun for you.
Fun table moment. I've had quite a few fun ones. Like we had a moment here at Outcast where we did a 6-man ladder match for the Outcast Pro Wrestling heavyweight title, and that was the first time I won it. But JJ Valaire set up this ladder, and he had it set up next to the ropes.
Yeah.
And me laying out on the table, and he vaulted over the ladder off the top rope and then gave me a leg drop. And I remember sitting there thinking, God, he's so high. He's so high up. And I almost forgot that he was coming down to land on me. And I was like, God, just look at how high up he is. And then I just sat there and thought, oh, no. There's a moment of realization where I was like, he's about to hit me.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Like, great.
I'm the target.
Yeah, I was like, that is just majestic. And then I was like, uh-oh.
And it's close, like, crap. Not majestic anymore.
But yeah, the one with Ricky, that really sucked. I think it was because we were looking around for a table.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't find the right table that we were going to use, so we just ended up. I think.
Oh really? Oh, what? So that wasn't actually a plan table.
Yeah, no. So we just grabbed the one from the sound desk and just set it up outside.
And just like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah. He said he was gonna sit out with me through the table. And I think the table was just a little bit too far away for him to sit out with it.
Yeah.
So he was like, right, I'm just gonna try and make it with you. So went to make it with me, and literally just the back of my head made contact with this table.
Yeah.
Just you see the table like ricochet around, and all you see is a table leg snap. And when I'm selling it,
fun for you, man. Just straight away, just like, I'm like, I feel you, man.
Grab the back of my head, and I'm like, I'm kind of like, I should really be selling this. But I'm looking around to see like what's actually happened with the table. Did it break, or did it? Am I going through this again? Because like, obviously, in wrestling, when you're doing a table spot, if you don't go through the table, you're gonna be using it again. So as soon as I saw that the table was in one piece, I saw Ricky grab it, throw it in, and he grabs me and he goes, "I'm sorry, but we're going again," and then sends me.
To be fair, to think that quick on your feet in a match with a crowd there, I think you guys did really well. The table, I didn't actually know that myself. I was like watching it as a fan. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's on CXW's official YouTube channel. Really, really good match in general. I thought it was brilliant. I know you lost, sorry. Fuck's sake, that's just a massive spoiler. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's a really good match. I do watch it. But
and to be fair to Ricky, like when he put me through the second table, we only had the one more spot planned after that, which was the one that we hit for the finish.
Yeah.
And to be fair to Ricky, he threw me through the table, took the bump, dragged me out, and he went, "We can probably leave it there if you want," because like he'd seen the bump, and he was like, "You probably don't want to keep wrestling from that." But I knew like the finish was the super. Sorry, I'm going to spoil it for people now. the super, pop up into the moonsault. He catches me and then gives me the Rikishi driver. And I was like, that's like such a cool little finish that I don't want to lose.
It is a brilliant match. I know we've both just spoiled it. I don't feel bad now, but do really go your way to watch it. It's a really good match.
Yeah, absolutely. And check out everything CXW do. Yeah, they're a fantastic promotion.
Really good content out there. And also, as I was saying to Lynn Tricks, I'm going to ask you about her in a minute because I know you've wrestled loads of times in intergender matches. But I was actually supposed to go there last month, couldn't make it. I was even going to meet up with Tim Strange as well during the show.
Oh, amazing!
But I was really gutted, man, because I work in Essex. I'm actually from Essex, and the actual show itself wasn't. I think it was like Braintree, so it wasn't that far.
Yeah.
But I actually had like something come up, and I was like, shit. And I bought a ticket as well. So I actually said to Tim, if anyone wants it, they can have it. So unfortunately, but I will make it to the next show because it's not that far. Hawkwell, I believe. So it's like, I don't know, 2 miles, I believe, for me.
Yeah. And they're such a fantastic show, such a great atmosphere. Like, Paris, the promoter works so hard to promote it, get people there to
dress as a macho man, Randy Savage in Braintree.
Yeah, exactly.
To do that and that wrestling flights, you are brave, but it works.
Exactly.
It does work.
Exactly that. But also, he makes it a big event. He brings the sausage vans. He gets people cooking. He gets whatever else. There's always a bar or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he works really, really hard on just every aspect of the show to make it a really great event for everybody that's going, whether it's the wrestlers or the fans or whoever else. He really does make it an event that's catered for everyone. So he's a really, really great promoter. And like that's one of my favorite places to go and work, CXW.
Yeah. I think you nailed it as well with like how well they cater to the audience, because it isn't just family. I know it's majority is a family show, but the way like it's presented, it is for everyone. And I'm looking forward to going to. I've been watching a lot of the content that they have produced and keep up to date with them on social media. So I am looking very forward to that. I mean, you've had some absolute bangers as well. Johnny Storm, fucking legend, British wrestling legend.
Honestly.
The match you had, I thought that was brilliant as well. But talk me through that. What was it like being in the ring with him? Someone's been doing it for so long and still able to have a really good match.
Yeah, so Johnny is someone that I've wanted to wrestle ever since I started in the business. So like, he was someone that I was always like, right, one day I'd love to wrestle Johnny Storm. And for me personally, I still get like a little bit of imposter syndrome in a sense of like, if I'm there with someone like Johnny Storm or Zach Zodiac or someone like that, I'm like, because I watched them before I got into wrestling so much, I think I'm kind of like, do I really deserve to be in this match? Like, is this really me?
Like, this is actually happening. Like, I looked up to
in this triple threat match with these two guys that travel the world wrestling all the time and that, have wrestled some of the biggest names in the world. So for me, whenever I was like wrestling Johnny, for example, I'd just turn up and be like, right, I want to learn as much as possible.
Yeah.
Like, what is it that you want to do? And we'll do it. So like,
but that's respect though. Like, massive.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I was more than happy to just listen to anything that Johnny had planned and be like, right, okay, this is where I can get my one thing in here, or this is where I can get this thing in here. But Johnny, for example, is so giving that he's like, right, okay, like, I'm not going to have it so that I just plan it all by myself. I want you involved in it just as much as I am. So it's not just like a Johnny Storm match, it's a Johnny Storm and Jackson Arrow match, which is really, really good because someone like Johnny, for example, could have just called everything to me and just said, right, this is what you're doing. And I would have just gone along with it because I like respect the guy so much. But no, he was really, really good. And he was like, maybe we could do this. And I'd be like, I don't necessarily do that, but I could do this. Perfect. We'll work it this way instead. So he was fantastic to work with. Him and Zach, to be fair, because I obviously did a triple threat with both of them.
And that was at the last show, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was fantastic. And honestly, both of them so good to work with. Such good professionals.
No, that's good that you had that experience well, especially Johnny Storm. It was actually, I think it was like the first match I ever saw British wrestling, and kind of be it back for me. Not going to feel my age, but I've always got a soft spot for him, and the fact that he's going strong makes me happy as well. I'll always be a mark for him. Little Tricks, someone I just mentioned not long ago. So I recently had on the show, really cool guest. But I mentioned her because you've had multiple matches with her, various promotions. But I just want to know about your experience with her in the ring and working across the country with her.
Yeah, so she's super easy to work with. And I think she's really good. And I think, I don't really know how to put this, but she's mostly like predominantly been training here with blokes.
Yeah, I remember saying.
She understands the psychology that you want to go with, and she understands how hard to hit people and stuff like that. Like, she's really snug and she works really well.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she'd have had that if she was working as often with females when she first started. I think she got a really good like grounding and a really good basics.
Yeah.
And now she can work with anybody. Like, now she's fantastic, and she will go on to be one of the best in the UK scene. Like, absolutely.
It's made her versatile, and like you said, like the fact that she worked with men and women and just like all genders, like she's just gonna like want to be booked so many places because she can just do it all, and it's really gonna benefit her.
She's actually booked every weekend now until the end of the year.
Really? Okay, now fair play. Yeah, to squeeze on the podcast then. Fair play. I mean, I know you're quite busy as well, and you're actually doing it at your school.
I'm literally here right now. Yeah,
we will promote that, but I'm just going to go to a short break. Hello there. I've got a special announcement from my next guest.
My name is the Machine Bryce Maddox, and I will be appearing on the What Do You Call It podcast.
You had. We just took a quick break, but we're going to talk about the school that you're currently at the moment. You're the head coach. If you just let me know what the school's name is it Outcast Pro Wrestling? Just to confirm.
Yeah, so it's the Outcast Pro Wrestling Training School. It's based at Unit 7, East Yard Road in Sandown on the Isle of Wight. We train pretty much all ages now. From like we've had trainees from like 5 to 65. So we've got a wide range of abilities, ages. And we just sort of coach anyone who comes through the door, really, as long as they're over the age of 5, and then we can coach you pretty much.
No, that's pretty cool. What kind of motivated you to become a head coach quite early on in your career?
So I'd say it's not like a move for everybody, because it is very stressful being a coach and having your own facility and having that sort of a financial burden. However, for me, it was a case of like, there's no training schools on the Isle of Wight. I wasn't overly experienced when I set the school up, but I was probably the most experienced guy that was from this sort of area. So I was like, do you know what? I'll take the risk, and because if there's nothing there, then you'll never know. So if I don't take the risk and set up a training school here, then maybe nobody ever will, and that's a real shame that the Isle of Wight would be missing out on so many good wrestlers, such as now like your Lunatrix, your Rudy Roots, your Victor Logans. Like there's countless guys now that are really talented that live here on the island and wouldn't have had a place to train.
Had you not set up school? Missed opportunity, like you said. Like that must be quite rewarding as well. Not just knowing that you're first to do it in the Isle of Wight, but to see those that you have sort of seen come through the doors and to see them on shows now and even be in the ring with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as soon as ultimately the first goal was to try and get guys so that they're just good enough to do our shows, like our local shows. And then sort of like starting to see them improve and grow every time they're in the ring. It was like, okay, these guys should be in other places and they should be working around the UK. And so from there, it was like, right, okay, now we need to sort of branch out as a group and try and get people opportunities in different places. So whenever I send any of my details across to a wrestling promotion, first thing I say is, why don't you get a car full of us guys? Because it makes it cheaper expenses wise to get a car full of guys from the Isle of Wight, where you have to pay for the boat and you have to pay for everything else. It makes it cheaper, whole car full, rather than just getting one guy from the island who has to then get the boat and then has to drive and then has his own booking fee and everything like that, because obviously I do this for a living. So it makes it a lot easier to get a whole car full, and then that way I can get an opportunity for other people.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. Promoters out there, by the way, just listen to what you just said. Save yourself some money.
Get some high quality wrestlers from here on the Isle of Wight. There you go.
Nice, man. That's pretty cool you do that, though. If you had to give one bit of advice to someone that listens to this podcast and they're like, I do want to become a wrestler, but I don't really know how to go about it, or I'm a bit worried about like what's going to do to my body, or just in general, one bit of advice you can think that commonly comes up when people are asking you, I want to get into wrestling. What would you advise?
Yeah.
Best way or whatever. Just piece of knowledge.
So find a reputable training school within your area and like do a little bit of research. See what sort of shows they're putting on. See if they're actually drawing a crowd. See what wrestlers have come through that training school and are going on and wrestling on other shows. Because there are some training schools where, you know, that's going to be your ceiling and you're going to stay at that training school and you won't be wrestling elsewhere. Whereas I think you have to look at, right, okay, who have these guys produced? For example, we've been here for 6 years or so, and you've got your guys like your Rudy Roots, your JJ Valairs, your Lunatrixes, your Victor Logans, you know, the Virus, the list just keeps going on and on and on. And they're fantastic wrestlers who I genuinely believe could wrestle for any promotion in the country, and anywhere on the card as well, from open to main. So it's one of those things that it's like, okay, I would look around to see sort of whether they're a reputable company and who's been trained there before. But the biggest advice I'd say to anybody actually getting into the industry is just have fun and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because so many people get wrapped up in like, oh, what's my booking? Or, oh, am I winning this match? Or am I losing this match? What's the backstage politics? Oh, this guy wouldn't let me do this move, or this guy wouldn't do this, or whatever. Just enjoy it. Have fun. Like, ultimately, the majority of wrestlers are good people. So have fun with some good people, and just, that's it, really. Pay your dues, turn up, do the ring, whatever. But even doing that should be fun and enjoyable, because you should just be having a laugh with your mates. Easy.
I like that, man. It's a good way to sign that off. If anyone is interested and is in the area of the Isle of Wight, how would they find OPW?
So the easiest way to find us is going to our wonderful website, which is www.outcastprowrestling.com, where you can find all information about Outcast Pro Wrestling. You can find all the info on the training school, on our shows, on everything, on the roster. All of our info is just on our website there. And it literally, like, is so easy to use. It's such a good website. Very, very proud of our website. A lot of hours went into it, and my girlfriend did a really, really good job on that. So definitely use the website. It's the best.
Is she a wrestling fan, by the way? Just confirm.
She wasn't originally.
You converted her. Nice.
She is now. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Last question, and then I'll let you enjoy the rest of your day, because I know you've got
no trouble.
Not too long after this interview, which I do appreciate your time.
I've got a kids session.
Mate, I'm too tired for that. Imagine the energy they have. Just like, oh, we're doing it.
I'm going to get beaten up for 2 hours, and then we've got an hour break, and then the adult session. So, yeah, fun time.
That's commitment, man. That's what makes a good coach. Kids, then adults, you do what you want, then you do a show, and you're doing the podcast. So,
yeah,
much love to Jackson Arrow. Even though the fans, I don't think the fans, by the way, give you enough love. They boo you a lot.
Oh, they hate me, especially in Essex.
Yeah.
What their problem is? Outrageous. Did you see that banner at the last show? My music hit, a whole banner that went across the front row that said, Essex hates you. Very rude people in Essex. Outrageous.
They should change it to most of Essex hates you. Because from Essex.
The vast majority of Essex hates
There we go. You can get out of the sign. There you go. CXW fans, you know what to put in your sign. You don't speak for all of us, because I'm a Jackson Arrow.
Absolutely.
To
be fair, there was somebody else next to them on the front row that had a Jackson Arrow sign. So there you go.
He went home with a black eye, probably.
Yeah.
I'm joking. If you are that fan, listen to us, by the way. Reach out. Just
my favourite moment with a fan was at CWP. So at CWP, I was the cocky heel champion.
Yeah.
And I seen these two kids in the front row in a Jackson Arrow t-shirt. And I just sat there and I was like, okay, the show itself is a little bit quieter than I'd like it to be. So I'm going to pick on these two kids that bought this Jackson Arrow t-shirt in the interval. So I was on in the main event and I was like, right, if I'm on in the main event and I can see, like, I could see 3 Jackson Arrow t-shirts in the crowd and there wasn't a great, like the crowd was maybe 50 people. So I'm like, right, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I pick on these guys because I know they're gonna react because I've already bought my t-shirt. And I don't want to be a baby face here because the point is I'm getting the baby face
giving you money and you're be a cocksucker.
So I was a right asshole to these two kids. I can't remember what I said, but I was just giving them crap the whole time. And it got to a point where halfway through the match, I was giving Eddie Kenway the heat, ready for his big like G-up comeback, so that we could go home and get him over and everything like that.
Yeah.
Giving these kids a load of rubbish, and I just see one of them just take the Jackson Arrow t-shirt off halfway through the match, and I'm like, I've got you.
You've done your job.
Yeah, I've done my job as a heel. Like, I'm sorted now. I can go home happy. Like,
I've got to do the rest of the match now.
yeah. I can go home happy because I know that I've just got Eddie Kenway, another fan, in this match. Like, so it was so much fun. And he literally said as he took it off, I said, "Oh, you're taking that off now, are you?" And he said, "I'll put it back on after. I'm just not wearing it while you're being horrible to me." And I was like, there you go. That's it.
A true heel in the ring.
Absolutely.
I love it, man. I love it.
Absolutely.
I will ask this last but fun question. 3 dream dinner guests. You're the host. Past or present, fictional, whatever. It's up to you. You're the host. If you can give me a reason as to why you want them there, doesn't have to be wrestling. It can be anything. Anybody you want to have a chat with, pick their brain, have a laugh with, or just ask anything you've been dying to ask for, I don't know.
That's a really tough question. Dream dinner guest. I'm going to keep it wrestling related.
That's fun. That's fun. A lot of people do that.
Yeah, because I think we're on a wrestling podcast, right? So we'll keep it wrestling.
I mean, like, we did have the Derby and Arsenal talk at the beginning, but
we did.
Have been.
I mean, yeah, I don't think it's going to fly if I'm inviting Steve Howard to as a dinner guest.
What you're up to, mate.
Or Steve Bloomer, something like that. Though actually, having said that, Brian Clough would be an excellent dinner guest, wouldn't he?
Oh, man, just love hearing stories about it as well.
Okay, we'll do one that isn't wrestling, and it'll be Brian Clough, especially because my dad would love that. So we'll do Brian Clough. I would say
that's the first, by the way. I can't imagine anyone actually choosing him, but you are the first to say that. And massive shout out. I didn't like the Damned United, by the way. Good film, but I know his family didn't like it, so I be on the fence. I just thought it was a very good film, personally.
No, I enjoyed it as a film.
But it was quite inaccurate, though. A lot parents said.
Yeah, I think so. But it was a good film. It was definitely entertaining. So
one of the better films.
That's what
there's so many good ones. Like Goal and the Cult trilogy.
So
I won't go the Goal films. Yeah, sorry.
Clough,
yep.
I'd go Chris Jericho.
Nice. Blocked.
Because
blocked by him.
You're blocked by him.
Yeah, I did kind of ask it. Like, I basically tweeted that it wasn't necessarily offensively. I just basically put, I need a long break from Chris Jericho and AEW because I don't enjoy him on TV anymore, and I didn't even tag him. So he's definitely valid to search himself, but that's fine. Don't like what's said. That's absolutely fine. It's my opinion.
So, in my opinion, Jericho is the greatest wrestler of all time. So maybe we can get you unblocked.
He's up there for mine. I mean, I've even met him and stuff. Like, he's probably in my top 5. Yeah. I'm not even going to deny that. Even still blocked. But I just think he has become quite soft. But if someone's criticising you, you do have the power to just say, blocked. Don't really want to put up with that. And that's fair. Like, it's like, Twitter is a bit like, I think CM Punk used this analogy. You know, if I don't want to hear someone shouting on my window, I just close the window.
Yeah.
and then that's it. I have to deal with it. So it's a fair thing. I actually found it more funny than anything, but I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry after this recording.
He's invited to the dinner party and outrageous. He still blocked me.
Might get too.
For me, Jericho's done everything, right?
Yeah.
So like he's carried a new business in AEW for the first like 4 or 5 months.
To be fair, AEW may have not succeeded without him. I think that's a fact.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because
before the fucking struggled then. Before the pandemic, I think he was probably the best thing about AEW. His title reign was brilliant. He's really fun. The champion, the bubbly, and all that stuff. Really entertaining stuff. And then I just think he kind of just lost the plot a bit with like never-ending feuds about Orange Cassidy and MJF, and Kingston, and he just went on for fucking ever. And I know he puts over people, but there's a difference in putting over someone and then actually making them look great.
Yeah.
But that's just
I agree. But yeah, just for everything he's done career-wise, obviously been like right at the top of the industry for 30 odd years, wrestled all around the world for pretty much all of the different major promotions. So he'd definitely have to be there. And who'd you have as another dinner guest with Brian Clough, Jericho?
A lot of alcohol there.
What an eclectic bunch. I don't know. I think you'd have to go like Undertaker, because I think there'd be so many different stories.
There'll be so much booze then. Taker, Jericho, Clough.
And I don't drink, so they could have all of it. So
and then who knows what they'll come up with? Like the more like the drink, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna ask him now.
Yeah, exactly. I just think there'd be so many stories, and like I say, also different things you could learn. I just really think you'd learn a lot from that sort of conversation. So yeah, those would be my 3.
I like it. That's a good answer. You know, Clough, by the way, he'd use the F word near them too.
Oh yeah.
100%, and there'll be a fight. I don't know who, but if
I reckon Jericho and Clough are having a fight, and Undertaker's sitting there in wrestler's court, just like officiating that fight. I'm there reffing Undertaker's point scoring in wrestling court.
He's just a massive, like, like a dad, like turning off his kids.
Just
Just like that is taking.
Splitting them up. He's splitting them up. Like, come on, guys,
time out, and they're both just like, head to the corner.
All right.
No dinner for you. No, that's a good choice, man. Taker, Clough, Jericho. You're the host. Love it. Jackson Arrow, great chatting to you. Good luck with your school and the adults and the kids, and basically the future of your career as well. But is there anything you'd like to promote? Anything you want to say? The opportunity is yours, as we are now at the end of the interview.
Yeah, sure. Just check out as many indie wrestling shows as you can, especially ones that have me on, because those are the best kind. So
just don't buy his merch.
Buy my merch. I might shout at you when you've got it on. Buy it anyway. We've just got a load of new merch designs out there. So like what I'm trying to do now is limited stock, but more different designs. So hit me up with your merch. Come and buy some Jackson Arrow t-shirts. And yeah, just enjoy wrestling and go and see as many shows as you can. Follow me on social medias at Jackson Arrow or at Jackson_Arrow, either or. Just search for me, you'll find me. And yeah, that's it really. Outcast Pro Wrestling. Awesome. Come along, come and train, come and watch the show.
Any shows that Jackson Arrow is going to be booked on, you can find out in social media, and I'll put the handles in the description below so you can keep up to date with what I've got planned. Need to lose my voice at the end of the interview, but it has been quality.
I think I've got. I don't know when this interview's being launched, but
it will be out. Today doesn't mean anything. It's going to be out the middle of the week, which is the first week of July.
Middle of the week. Okay. So this weekend, I'm at Lockhorns Wrestling, and I'm going to be taking the heavyweight championship off of Andros J. So yeah, go ahead and give that a watch.
There you go. That's a good way to end on it. I can't do that, mate. Plus my coffee breath comes out if I smile. But no, I appreciate you coming on, man. If you can also follow me on my social media handles in the description below, that'd be brilliant. Like this video, subscribe to the account, and I will be producing more episodes next week. But for now, everyone, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. Peace. Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
I'm Luigi Primo, and I'm going to be appearing on the What Do You Call It? A podcast. I'll make the best of it.
Yeah.